We are here with the legendary Tony O'Neill from the Webby and O'Neill YouTube channel and podcast. Tony, great to have you here on the American Red Devils. How are things going on your end? How's everything in Manchester? What's the latest?
How's everything in Manchester? What you've got to be in Manchester, you've got to have a packet of headache tablets around with you because all the noise and everything, it's just doing everyone's head in. Poor start to the season and everything else like that. So we expected more. I think the Brentford game sent everyone over the top. Yes, we got a win against Sunderland, poor Sunderland side. But we expected more from a pre-season. What we was told, we're on our way. But hey, things can only get better, as they say.
We could certainly hope so. So, let's get right into it. United win before the break. Obviously, pressure remains. Where's your head at with this team right now?
It's a team what we see from last year. It's just moments. The one thing what we are seeing is these opportunities being created. But like last season, we just didn't put them in the net. And again, we've signed 3 players there who were all goal scorers, by the way. Doesn't matter if your opinion is, oh, he's not this good, what people say, he's better than this. And the goals just aren't going in for them 3 players, especially. Yes, Sesko's got off the mark, but he didn't start straight away. And I think that was a bit of a downer for a lot of people. And if you look at Mbumo was doing really well, improving every game. And then the Brentford game, sort of like kicking the teeth. He just didn't perform. And Kuna seems to have gone off the boil. But all the rumours, all the stories, and the chaos inside the club seems to have come back. And that's put everyone basically here in Manchester on a downer.
Yeah, indeed. I think the low was probably that Europa League final. That was a tough one to get over. Tell me what your thoughts are on Amorim. How would you sum him up in one sentence? What's his football? What is it not? What are your thoughts around the manager?
Well, our thoughts around the manager is he was experimenting last year. We all gave him a pass because we realised the situation he walked in. I think Eric Ten Hag should have been kept on till the end of the season. Then Amorim come in. So that created its own chaos. And he was experimenting. He didn't have the players to play his system. That was clear. Everyone knew that. That's why the fans got behind him. That's why they were singing for him and everything else. And they were singing for him in defiance. But when you look at Ruben Amorim for the Grimsby game, and he's in the dugout and he's on the sideline, and it just looked as though he didn't know what he was doing. If you look at the players when they went out there, they weren't up for it. Well, that's the manager's job. And then when you go into the Brentford game, it was, it's the same old from last year. And the gloom round as if to say there's no change. He's not getting it right. Yes, you can turn around and say he hasn't got his players. There's a midfield problem, clear problem. Should have been sorted out in the summer. It hasn't been sorted out. Whose fault's that? People say it's the owner's fault. Some people say the manager wanted that player in the midfield and he wasn't giving it. The truth of that, we don't know until it gets explained. It's all like guesswork, but he's under pressure, but he puts himself under pressure by the way he performs on the sideline, by his substitutions, by his sometimes what I've got erratic now, his press conferences before and after the game. He sucks the media in where he's going out there and he's not in control. Whereas if you look back, the great Sir Alex Ferguson was always in control of them press conferences. And he seems to be giving the ammunition all the time to the press, which heaps pressure on the club, which we don't want. So he has to grow stronger in that aspect in these press conferences. And he talks too much, just like Sir Jim Ratcliffe talks too much. It's not what we want. We need to get down to work. So it's headlines on the back of some erratic performances. We expected better. and they've all got to improve. Manager, owner, you name it, the lot.
I think you summed it up super well, Tony. You know, he takes the bait with the press and probably gives them too much, over speaks. Um, what are your thoughts? You know, he's been here just under a year. I think 1 month from a year. Have we seen enough? Does he need time? You know, the old kind of mantra is back the manager to the hilt. What are your thoughts on Amorim? Should we cut our
Well,
losses and try and start over, or should we give him a season? Like, you know, Ratcliffe wants to give him 3 years. What are your thoughts there?
well, there's a couple of things there. You look at what's my thoughts on Ruben Amorim over the season. Well, it's been a disaster. You can't say it any other way. It's been a disaster. 15th in the league. It's absolutely the worst football I've ever seen because you just don't know what you're getting. I don't know Ruben Amorim's best 11 players, and I've consistently said it for a long time. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what his best players are, and he seems to be still experimenting. So it's baffling. And going forward, you sort of say as a club, all we've ever done since Sir Alex Ferguson left was keep changing managers, and the fans are desperate for things to change and keep the manager. But the manager's doing himself no favors. So the negativity's out there, and he's creating a lot of it. So for me, I just look at it. We have to keep a manager. The pressure's on though. Everyone wants him out because they don't see any change in that. But as a club, if they turn round and they say they're going to back the manager, they're going to like provide funds for the manager. And yes, they've spent money this summer, but they've not spent it in the right way. But they can't keep sacking managers. This club does not function by bringing in a manager every 18 months or anything. But the club's in carnage. It's chaos. And I keep saying it on a regular basis. All you're going to see, I said it at the beginning of the season, and people criticised me for saying it. And I said we'll finish eighth. I didn't have any optimism finishing any higher than eighth because I said it's carnage and chaos. We will see it, and we have seen it, and I was proven right. And I don't understand how people didn't see it coming because the club is in turmoil. It's been ripped apart. The workforce in there is demoralised. Nothing's running right. It takes time, and to sack a manager so early when he was brought in when he didn't want to be brought in seems a sign of desperation. But Manchester United aren't going to get Champions League football. They aren't going to be back amongst the elites for several years. And really, if you look at the manager from a sensible point of view, he has to oversee a team and a club what's in carnage. So what's the point of bringing a new manager in when it's absolute carnage? I keep using that word, but I'm here. I see it. I feel it. I hear the frustration. I'm here at Hotel Football, which is only 50 yards from the ground. A lot of people out there will know where it is. And I speak to United fans, and I mean hundreds every day. They let on, and some stop and have a chat. All ages, all backgrounds, and they don't understand what's going on. But it will be carnage if they sack the manager. And I did say a few weeks ago, if they sack this manager, then you can expect the next 10 years of being in the wilderness because it will just be repeat, repeat, repeat. There's no, how can I say, longevity in whoever is running this club or anything because they will just get behind the scenes, people sticking the knife in and everything else in people's backs. And that's what you get. And that is proper carnage. And that's what we're dealing with. But as a United fan, you've got to have hope. And I've always had hope since the first time we ever come to Old Trafford. And every fan wants the team to do well. But we know we can't all do well every game. But that's football. And that's what we love. And that's why we're there. And that's what drives us absolutely mental when we're watching our football team and we don't get what we want.
I love the description of Carnage. It's been tumultuous to say the least. And it feels like we're in the wilderness. Feels like we're due for another 10 years of misery. I don't know about you, Tony, given the fact that we were so dominant for 20 years and football goes in cycles. Maybe it's
Yeah,
our medicine.
yeah, football goes in cycles and that, and but what you got to look at is there's too many statements by the men in suits, as I call them, inside Manchester United, and the most ridiculous statement was by Omar Barada. He turned around and said, "We will be back challenging in 2028." I found that absolutely ridiculous when this club had to be ripped apart and started again. I just, it baffles me, but it also questions his competence. Yes, he's come from City, but this is Manchester United, totally different football club, right? Which is at the bottom and which needed ripping out. And he's never been part of that in his life. Now, this football club, there's no way we're going to be back challenging in 2028. If you look at the players, what we've got now, you could name 5 players, right? What you want to leave at the end of the season, what are in the first team. Now, where's the money for that? And that's without the players we want to bring in to fill in certain other gaps. This is going to roll and roll and roll, and it's going to be painful from game to game because we never know what we're going to get.
We certainly don't. No, I appreciate your perspective because a lot of fans are a little too hopium, a little too hopeful. I mean, I think you said it right. Manchester United fans are always inherently hopeful. They always believe their team can do it. They always back the manager, but there has been carnage. There has been so much unease. What are your thoughts about the new kind of operating team in Ineos? What's your thought about Sir Jim? You know, they seem quite rash in the firing of Dan Ashworth. Maybe how they handled Eric Ten Hag, bringing Amorim in mid-season, like you said, that certainly didn't help. Give me your thoughts around that crew.
Well, I'll touch on Eric Ten Hag, for instance. I did say when they come in, you always expect these billionaire owners to walk straight in, clean sweep, get rid of people. So if they were going to get rid of the manager, and this is the criticism, what you give the men in suits, as I call them, the Ineos group, right? The indecision. They should have sacked Eric Ten Hag straight away and brought in their own man. They knew they were coming in and they should have had a manager lined up. Okay. So that was a failure and that was poor on their part. Yes, they wanted to come in and have a look, but they knew the state of the club. They knew the state of the finances and everything. And to turn around and say the club nearly went bust and all that. The statements, what Sir Jim Ratcliffe especially has come out with since he's took over, have absolutely infuriated United fans because they don't make sense, a lot of them. They don't like him, a lot of United fans, because he should have bought the club outright. And that is the failure of this football club. It needs to be owned outright, and Ineos haven't done that. And as we see, they can have their legs took from them straight away if someone comes in. But we don't want the speculation. And that's the failure of Ineos. You know, Jim Ratcliffe, richest man in Britain, will go and buy the club. You love the club. You're a great supporter of the club and all that. People here don't believe that. They just don't believe Sir Jim Ratcliffe, best in class. Well, hang on a minute. You spent your time gloating over going for Dan Ashworth and everything else like that. Well, it seems that Dan Ashworth went against what Wilcox, Barada, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe wanted. Amorim, well, he wanted Southgate by all reports over here. Well, hang on a minute. If you've brought somebody in who you class as best in class, right, and you don't like what he says, and you sack him, what does that say about these people? They've made mistakes. I don't think they know what they're doing. They're going from one thing to another, to another, to another. And they're hoping, and that's another word we use all the time, hope, hope, hope. And they're blagging their way through it and hoping that they get it right. So for me, indecision, for me and many, many people here, they're not football people. and they're just hoping they get it right. But 2028, that's never going to happen in my eyes and many other eyes. But the Ineos group, they're not football people. They are not football people, and that's what we wanted. Listen, they could have come in and bought the football club outright, and many United fans would have accepted the carnage and chaos, them trying to get it right, making mistakes and all that. But it would have been a fresh start. It just seems he's come in, he's told us he's going to be in charge, the Ineos group, of the footballing side. Well, he's just come out with a statement, and he said he's in charge of Manchester United. The Glazers are over there in America. They can't do anything in America. So we're in charge. We're sorting the football club out. We're doing everything. That's baffling. And it's also naive to call out the Glazers. They've got nothing to do with it. They can't sack Ruben Amorim. It's down to us. And we're giving him 3 years. Never say never. You know what I mean? It's like, listen, this is football. He loses the next 3-4 games. Ratcliffe is going to make himself look a fool if United don't pick up the points. And if you look at the table's all right. But that table is in exactly the same position as when he sacked Eric Ten Hag.
You're absolutely right. And those next 3-4 games are not easy. There's not a lot of easy games left in the Premier League. Ineos made lots of mistakes. I couldn't agree with you more, Tony. They brought in bicycling folks. Brailsford was not a football man when he came in, and he was kind of running the helm until they brought in Omar Wilcox and then shortly Dan Ashworth. So there's rumors swirling. They did half measures, right? Like you said, there was not a full buyout. We're hearing once again rumors from the Middle East about a consortium. We heard that before. No real legs in that. What are your thoughts? Do you think there's an inevitability about United potentially being bought by basically a sovereign country in the Middle East? Do you think that's coming? And how do you think fans would react if that did happen?
Well, listen, when you've got a situation with Glazers having the majority and Sir Jim Ratcliffe having 27.7% of the shares, it is inevitable down the line, people will come in. If Ratcliffe stays in place for a while, financially, because it's all about financial football now. Okay, let's not talk football on this. This is about financial. If Ratcliffe suddenly turns around, cuts the cost, the running costs of the club is making money, he sorts out the players' wages, contracts and everything, and we're not had over, and he brings in the revenue and everything else like that, people will look at it from a financial basis and say, right, the future's there. So Jim Ratcliffe is doing all the work to put this club on a financial sound footing. And if he does that, and then there's a potential, right, for the value to go up, people will come in. Now, this consortium, it's from the apparently UAE. I don't think it's from Saudi, the person who started it. I think it was the Minister for Sport and Entertainment in Saudi. He came out with it, which is weird and baffling, but we see it all the time, come out on Twitter. Then he reiterated he's got nothing to do with it, or anyone in Saudi, and possible United players, ex-players, being involved as an ambassadorial role. It's absolutely ridiculous that a bloke brings something like that out on Twitter and he's now turning around. It's got nothing to do with him. Listen, you know what Saudi's like. You know what they do. We've seen it all before. Stories here, there and everywhere. It's Manchester United. It brings eyeballs. It brings clickbait and everything else. Why has he done it? We don't know. You would have thought a consortium would have just put the money on the table and then gone and approached the Glazers and said, here we go. Why would they? Why would they? Right? Put £5 billion on the table, but then get ex-United players involved as ambassadors. You wouldn't need ambassadors. Money talks. It's 5 billion. It's ridiculous. It's stories again. That's how we have touched on the story as it being fanciful. We believe it's fanciful. Listen, we might get a shot. You never know. But we go on previous form. And Manchester United, every Tom, Dick and Harry, when they were put up for sale or possible being sold, every idiot, every businessman who wanted the eyeballs and clickbait were out there saying, oh, yeah, if I could get it, I'd buy it, but not for that much. And that's what they always said.
We had a lot of that during the last sale process, didn't we? A lot of half measures. Oh, we're in, but not at that price. We're quickly running out of time. This is such a great conversation, Tony. I really appreciate it. When you think about the squad, when you think about the players, who are the players that you've seen that have either come in or been here for a little bit that you think we should build the team around, in terms of being first on the team sheet, and at the same time, who are the players that we need to get out, prioritize to get out in terms of like building for the future
I
to
think
make
it's,
this, please.
yeah, I get you. Like, there's no quick fix here, but you've got to say Maguire's got to go, Luke Shaw's got to go, Casemiro's got to go, Bruno's got to go. There's too much doubt with Bruno, and I think he will go. Who'd you build a team round? Well, obviously Lenny Euro's in there. I think for the next couple of years, De Ligt. Then you look at Aiden Heaven. Then you look at Mainu. Now, I'm baffled by Mainu. It's gone backwards and that, but it's a problem created by the manager by bringing Bruno there. You have to look at Sesko, Kuna, and Bumo for the next couple of years, without a doubt. And then you look at Mason Mount. A lot of people don't like Mason Mount. I think he's a really good player. But I did say about Mason Mount in the summer, he is the one with the most difficult job. I don't see a place for him, even though I like him, because of the players what's there. He's got favourites. He's got your Bruno. He's got your Delo. And there's another player. 2 years ago, he had decent season, Delo. And then if you look at Delo last season, especially this season, absolutely way off form. And it looks like his time's up. But that's your football team. When you're not doing well, you can pick most of the players and say, out you go. Even players you've seen, what recently bought. Xerxes doesn't fit this team, even under Eric Ten Hag, doesn't fit it at all. And I think he's a good player. And I think if he goes somewhere in a different system, in a different atmosphere, he will be a good player. And that's happened to quite a few players. I never wanted Scott McTominay to go. I really like Scott McTominay all the way through. And he should never have gone. Even if he never got a regular starting place, he was a great squad player. So for me, we've all got our picks. They're mine. Some of them, I could go a lot more, really.
No, I think those are some great names. As we're finishing up, Tony, you have some unbelievable stories that I've gotten to listen to about your away days, about traveling as a young Red and as you grew up and just going all over England. The Newcastle story especially rang true to me. Here at the American Devils, we're season ticket holders. We've done some away days, nothing like your extent. One notable was up to Sunderland to go to the Stadium Light in 2017 under Jose. You were headed into an away game when we come back from the international break, obviously against the Scouse Bastards, obviously going to Anfield. You have any great stories about maybe trips to, Liverpool to see us play the Scousers, or anything else that, you'd like to talk about as we wrap this up?
Listen, the football, the series, what you've been looking at on the channel, that's the 70s. I've got a million stories, the 80s, the 90s, it goes away through, but the 70s were a completely different world. They were wild. And when you left your house, sometimes you was fearing for your life going there. And it makes no sense to walk out of your house to follow a football team where you thought you was going to die. But on the other side of it, it was your football team. We was working class lads and everything. And one of the worst places you could go at the time was Liverpool, because they had a habit of like using knives and Stanley knives and cutting you up. And it was for fun. That's what they did it for. And a lot of games you went to, you thought to yourself, but we had the Red Army. So come a weekend, it was wild. And I mean wild. So anyone out there, them stories are there. I've done about 6 or 7. I'm going to do a few more over the next few weeks. So for people listening to this now and sort of thinking, well, what was it like? You will not ever understand what the 70s was like. We had the freedom and everything, but we also had no money. But that did not matter. Your team was playing, and you had to get to watch your team, no matter how you did it. Absolutely great days. Yes, wild. Some people will not like them stories, but all I'm doing is just sort of telling tales of what reality of life was and how dangerous it was following your football team. And everybody in the 70s, no matter what side of the social divide you come on, you understood what it was to follow your team and how dangerous. But my God, what great days for a young lad.
No, they're unbelievable stories. I recommend anyone who's listening in to check out Tony's YouTube page and hear more about him, especially the Newcastle story that really resonated with me, having to take the trip up 4 hours from London. But Tony, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate you being.
No problem. Anytime. Anytime. It's no problem.
We love your perspective. No, really, I think very much aligned with how the American Red Devils see things at Old Trafford, at Manchester United of the day. Where can folks find more of your content if they want to keep an eye on you going forward?
Well, what we do, we've got our YouTube channel, which is Webby and O'Neill. We don't go on any other platforms, filming and that. So it's Webby and O'Neill all the time. And the content, what you was, it comes under culture. Just bear with me one sec. Yeah, it's Man United fan culture from stories from the old days, but it's on our main channel, which is Webby and O'Neill. So you'll find it on there. Plus, we do conversations every day on Manchester United. So please come along, ask our questions. And what it is, we do not mix our words. We're Manchester United fans. We're not here for entertainment. We will say what we believe, whether it upsets you or not. We're Manchester United fans, and that's all we're in it for.
And I appreciate that. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep the red flag flying high. And I just thank you so much for your time, Tony. Absolute pleasure.
Listen, been a pleasure. Thank you very much.